So in this short video, I'll be sharing with you more about emotional abuse and narcissistic abuse and my journey with my inner child healing. So Spirit has been instructing me to share more about my personal challenges that I experienced growing up, and many of which I did not recall. Maybe the subconscious mind suppressed them because they were so traumatizing that I did not remember that I had experienced some of these things, like physical abuse, sexual abuse. In the last 10 years, I think what has been more dominant in my life was the introduction of the narcissistic partner into my life, and things spiraling out of control, trying to maintain some kind of grasp on narcissism, which I had little to no clue existed for a long, long time, until the narcissist alerted me to narcissism, and I thought he was trying to tell me I was a narcissist, which that's what he was trying to project onto me. And when I recognized that I did not resonate with the traits of narcissism, I dismissed it, and for a long time I didn't look further into it. So fast forward to now, in doing the inner work, and when I say inner work, I've done the subconscious work to heal from not living in a state of fight and flight response on a daily basis. That was something that was happening to me from early childhood, as I lived with my narcissistic parent, mother, who I call my surrogate. Again, having no idea she was a narcissist. Nothing I did mattered. Nothing I said mattered. I would get beaten for simply telling the truth. And I was told that I was just being feisty, as the Caribbean people call it, or I was being rude. She would ask me a question, I would speak the truth, and I would get smacked over for telling the truth. Those are things that forces you to suppress a lot of things and experiences. So when I entered people attempting to rape me and successfully doing so, I didn't speak up to tell her anything, because I was more afraid of her than the people who would try to rape me. And if I went to her and tried to tell her the truth, instead of listening to me sharing about someone violating not just my boundary, but violating me as a person sexually, instead of her listening to me, what she would have done is to attempt to beat me first. Up until when I began to try to grab her hand when I was about maybe 17, turning 18 years old, as she continued to try to beat me, migrating from one country to the next. And my stepdad saw that as me being defiant, me being disrespectful as a child, but not understanding what it was that I was living through from childhood. And the ironic part of it was, when I was 7 years old, which was my earliest recollection going through my inner child healing, I was being physically abused by my stepmother, and my surrogate, my birth mother, was the one that took it to court and fought to get custody of me. And then I got to the age of 14, which was when she gave birth to me, and that's when she started to beat and attack me, knowing that she took me from that situation when I was 7 years old, where I was beaten so badly that I couldn't even walk. They had to carry me around everywhere when I was 7 years old, up to I was 14 years old, where she turned around and started to do the same things that she supposedly was trying to save me from. So in my inner child healing, as I began to go through reframing my past trauma and experiences that I encountered from childhood up until the different aspect of those trauma that carried over into my adult life, where I ended up in a narcissistic relationship. And when I began to map out what was it that led me into the hands of the narcissist, other than this fact that it's a spiritual journey, what did that was I was already introduced to covert narcissism through my mother, which I was unaware of. And it was only after I ended the almost decade relationship, accepting the fact that my child for the narcissist was dead and gone. He's in my heart, he will never leave me, and that I was much better than being with a narcissist who could not appreciate me, and decided to walk away completely, discarding the narcissist. Went home and decided to look within my life how I could heal myself, and discovered that it wasn't emotional healing that I needed to do, it was a spiritual healing. And as human having a spiritual experience, which many of you may not be at many of you may not reach that part in your journeys yet. So some of this may not be fully clear to you what it is that I'm referring to. Many of you might be able to fully comprehend what I'm sharing. But it was further along when I went home and decided to sit down and look at, I needed some kind of spiritual healing. I didn't know why I needed spiritual healing, but I know it was not me just simply experiencing depression. I know it was just not simply me needing to go pop some pill to deal with depression or anxiety. It was something that I needed to heal from my core. It was something that I needed to heal once and for all. I didn't need to pass this way again. When I get through this journey, I don't want to go back. Like even right now, me sharing about narcissism is very boring for me, but I do so and sharing these videos because I need to bring awareness to you beautiful souls who are still going through that journey. So my inner child healing and exploring my inner child journey, the different traumas that I suffered, I had completely forgotten that I had gone through sexual abuse, I went through physical abuse, and with the sexual abuse, there were many instances where, in looking at it and trying to reframe those negative experiences that I encounter, that I took onto myself, and looking at it, instead of feeling bad and terrible, I'm realizing that these people who try to abuse me sexually, including one of my cousins, I was no more than maybe, I was probably between 7 to 10 years old when that my grandmother caught him attempting. And then from there were actual adults who tried. One guy who literally smacked me around when I was uninterested, which was how I got introduced to sex the first place. And when I say sex, I don't mean like me being promiscuous looking to have sex. I meant someone violating me sexually. And those were things I could not share with my mother because again, I was more afraid of her and the fact that she would abuse me. There was someone who attempted to rape me, and I ended up getting home late from school that day, and I got smacked around, right? And I took the beating, and I didn't say anything about it because if I had shared with her that someone tried to rape me, the beating would have been worse. So can you imagine? You have your mother and someone tried to rape you on the street. You just fought to save, right? You just fought to save yourself from someone raping you. Kudos for me, successfully. I came home with some bruises which she couldn't see from me fighting, from this person pulling me, trying to get me into a compromising position, right? And she was unable to see those bruises because she added more bruises to my body, not being an attentive mother. So these are experiences I'm now remembering. I'm not sure why they're coming up right now. And again, if I'm going through inner child healing, yes, but these were things that either my mind suppressed or they were so traumatizing that they lay dormant and they were absent from memory for a while. And in dealing with sexual abuse, there were times, once or twice, where even a narcissistic partner, where I just not too long walked away from that relationship, had not only attempted but had raped me because I was not interested in having sexual relations with him anymore, right? Like, when they find that you don't give in to them easily, right, and you're repulsed by them, or you simply want to change your life and exit the narcissism and the unhealthiness that comes with those toxic behavior and toxic traits they exhibit, they will try to violate you to get their way. So in me going through my inner child healing, thinking back from as early as I could to remember what exactly happened in my life and when it happened, when did it start, and what was it that laid the foundation, those experiences that laid the foundation for later on how I perceive things, places, people, experiences, to transitioning into adult experiences and adult relationship, has been pivotal for me to now go back and remember that not only did I successfully overcome narcissistic abuse and the trauma that goes along with it, but I also overcame sexual abuse and physical abuse, starting with my mother. And for a great part of my life, and one of the reasons why it was not in my recent memory was because I think by the time I got to 20, I had made severe changes to block out certain people so that the experiences and making it easier for people to try to violate me physically and sexually was absent. I didn't make it easy for them. The last person who tried to hit me, I literally went for a chopper in my mother's kitchen. Some people call it a cleaver, you know, that big chunky knife that you used to chop into like meat. As he tried to raise his hand to me, I told him, hold right there, I'll be right back. And I went for the chopper. And when I came, his ass ran. And so even though I later learned that he was an abuser, right, that physically abused people and used curling iron to insert in women vajayjay area to abuse them and all that kind of stuff, I did not go through that because I was serious that no longer am I taking that from my mother, which I got thrown out of the home after attempting to stop her from abusing me physically, and this guy also attempted to try. So I decided I did not want that experience anymore. So for many years it did not happen. My last encounter with sexual abuse was in the end when I became serious about me not wanting this narcissistic relationship anymore, but not fully having closure. So I allowed the narcissist to still come around me, thinking I would get closure, which by the way is a whole lot of different thing. If you're with a narcissist, they will never give you closure. And if they learn that you're looking for closure, they'll try to come close to you to reel you back in. But when I was trying to walk away from the narcissistic relationship and allowed him to come back around, thinking I needed closure, he would, when the opportunity presented itself, try to rape me. The last time he tried it, I just laid there. I laid there like, he kept saying, move, move girl, move. And I'm like, you want a dead body? You're gonna have to kill me because I'm not helping you. So I got serious. I no longer wanted these experiences. So going back to my reframing my inner child to heal and release the trauma, which I'm a healed person, but these things were under the surface and I had no idea they were still there. I'm not sure why they came up now, but the only rational reason I can find is that I went searching for them in terms of reframing my inner child. There were some that I found that were just popping out like naturally on their own without me searching. So I guess my spirit wants for me to go back and take that journey so that I am beyond just healing the mind, but healing my younger self and the trauma suffered there. So things that I discovered that I now need to reframe is the emotional abuse that I suffered as early into my childhood, the sexual abuse that I suffered, the physical abuse, and I've already worked on the narcissistic abuse. So those are things that if you have been in any kind of emotional abusive, physical abusive, sexual abusive, narcissistic abuse type relationships, in order to heal your inner child, you will have to go back into your childhood and see where these experiences stem from in order to then reshape, reframe your mind to heal your inner child and to make sure you live whole, to make sure that you do not remain a victim because others try to victimize you. And that is one thing I've been conscious of over the years, telling myself that I am nobody's victim. I am nobody's victim. And that has been something that has propelled me to take the deep dive and to do the shadow work that is necessary in order to heal myself. So I know this is a little bit of a longer video. I will be sharing more as Spirit has guided me to share more about my actual experiences. And as we are private people, people who are empathetic or empathic are people who generally are private people that don't really speak up easily about challenges that they're going through. And especially if you're an empath, an empathetic person, those are the people that narcissists gravitate to. Those are the people that emotional abusers in general, they find out the empathic and empathetic people because they know that these type of people, we're stubborn and we're also private people and we don't share easily with public, which has created a block And generally, it's a blockage to your throat chakra. You'll find that when you leave the narcissistic relationship or emotional abusive relationship, many people still has it bottled up and are still shy and introverted because those experiences are meant to leave you staying trapped, staying quiet about the people who abuse you. But I'm singing like a bloody canary because I need to bring awareness that this is not cool and should not happen. And even though I understand it's a spiritual journey, I am bringing awareness so that these people know that they need to go and heal themselves also. So if this video resonates with you in any way, shape, or form, please leave a comment. Please consider subscribing to the Phoenix Warrior community and like and share these videos. Thank you for watching. Namaste.